I built up such a savage skill set as a solopreneur because I had no money when I started. And once it got to a certain stage, actually, I realised I was blocking the business. We did 2.5 ROAS on $6 million last year. I need to evolve because a $6 million company is not a $50 million company. They're different. I almost am convinced that if it wasn't for my ADHD, I wouldn't have got into business. You know, that insane boredom of the status quo, bored out of your mind, to me is death. Do you know what I mean? I think I'd rather be on the brink of. It's the quickest way to learn. It's a cheat code. You can spend years doing it yourself, or you can go and find friends doing similar things that are interesting.
DTC Live On Air is powered by Rippl by Sage. In today's episode, I'm joined by Nick, co-founder of Rippl Impact Gear, and this episode is a reminder that building a really strong business doesn't always start with scale. It starts with testing, discipline, and really understanding what works for your customer and who your customer is. I'm really excited to have you here today. We've known you for about nearly 2 years, I think now.
Yeah.
And seen like a lot of like your successes and things that you've done. So tell me a bit about you, your company, and what you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's gone so quickly, hasn't it? Like, I mean, 2 years is quite quick anyway, but God, that's sped through. So yeah, my name's Nick. I run a motorcycle and snowboard protective gear brand called Rippl Impact. It started off in my bedroom, wanting to try and find something and solve my own problem. So I started selling some padded shorts for snowboarding because at the time I kept falling over and hurting myself severely, and it was brutal. And so then I started selling those. They took off. And then we did really well during season, and then it tanked afterwards. So we looked into motorcycling, which coincidentally I also love, which is really cool. And then started selling all year round, and it's just been growth from then on. Really, it's been quite the journey.
And how did you like approach testing like product market fit earlier on? Obviously, you was your demographic, wasn't you? So does that make things easier or harder as you like?
Yeah, far easier. I think when you get to being a bigger company, you start getting tunnel vision, and then you have to rely on other people to come with different angles. But in the beginning, obviously, you are the target audience, and so it's a lot easier. You've felt the pain. You go through it. For example, the motorcycle brand, I wore jeans on my motorcycle because I couldn't stand leathers. You know, they're tight. Struggle to walk around. As soon as the rain came down, it was sodden, and so I kind of feel that, and so it's very easy to position that to other people. So I think as a start, yeah, I mean, solving my own problem, and it just, I understood my audience really, so it's quite cool.
Knew what you needed.
Yeah, exactly.
And what kind of took you from, obviously, so how long have you guys been in business now?
Well, so I ran the business by myself for a couple of years, making some money on the side, again, during season, and then tanked. But I mean, fully operational, where Ricky came on board, we got another shareholder, has been officially 3 years.
Okay.
But about 5 or 6 in total.
So that's quite a good growth that you've had in that. So I suppose, like, was
Very
it more
aggressive.
of like a lifestyle business before you brought like the other shareholders in?
Yeah, it was mental. So it was weird. So I was working for a marketing company as an account manager, earning quite a mid-wage, enough to kind of keep me on a hamster wheel. And then I kind of broke out of it, and I made my first $5,000 ever, which I was just like, oh my God.
This is the best thing ever.
Yeah, loads of money. And then that season got quiet. And then the second year, when it picked up, it was about probably $5,000 profit a month. And for me as a solopreneur, I was just like, I mean, that was insane.
What you need.
And I was like, that's it, I'm set, don't have to do anything. And then the season tanked again, and I met Ricky at a meetup, probably midpoint that year, and I was picking up some freelance work in my spare time. We instantly connected because he was asking smart questions. I was like, you know what's up, mate. And so I kind of shuffled to the back, and I was like, do you want to exchange numbers? And it was literally like that, by the way. Like, do you want to exchange numbers? I was like, you're really smart. I think you know what you're talking about. And he was like, yeah, me too. And it was just really organically after that. And he's been putting up with me ever since. But that's when we really went into full swing. We went back into season, and it picked up from there. We brought on another shareholder who was so good at ecom, very, very experienced with... he had a few drop shipping stores, and his marketing was just really, really decent. And we got to our first 400k month that November. And then again, I say the rest is history. We had a dip, but then found the motorcycle industry. But
So what did you think when did it get to the point when you was like, actually, I think this is going to work. This is solid. Like, We know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a great question. And I think it came in two parts. One was once we'd nailed snowboard season, we knew that we were going to make money at least over that season.
Yeah.
And then what we'd do is we'd go off to our day jobs again and make some money on the side and then come back in for next season. And so we knew that was a regular thing, but it was just obviously all year round. And I'm very much an avid networker, so I just bang someone's door down if I want to speak to them. And I'm not going to mention the brand name in case there's a conflict of interest, but I was knocking someone's door down that owned a big motorcycle brand. And I was talking to him about it, and I was thinking about getting to the motorcycle niche. And from there, I mean, like, I got some really nice tips on how to kind of not just enter that space, but grow within that space as well, which was really cool. And then I was like, okay, I can definitely kind of take this somewhere. And our shareholder at the time came up with a great product idea, and he was like, guys, these guys are absolutely killing it with these cycling shorts for motorcyclists and palming them off as motorcycling shorts for comfort. And so we were like, okay, cool. So we tested it for proof of concept. It came out, and then we went and made our own. And that was when I realised, I was like, oh, wow, shit, this is all year round. This is all year round.
And like, forgive my ignorance of both sports, but is the customer base similar for snowboarding and motorcycle? Like, how did you find blending that into one business?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a crossover in terms of like, I like doing something that gives me a rush, because they both trigger that dopamine quite heavily. But aside from that, I don't think there's a ton of crossover, really. It's two things that I was interested in, and I guess needing dopamine hits myself, they both appealed to me. But I think that's where it stops. So, for example, our motorcycle audience is actually older by a lot, whereas our snowboarding audience is old enough to care about protecting themselves. They don't heal as quickly, but young enough to still, pop their boards and twist and do all sorts of stuff. So they are actually quite different. Quite different.
Because your journey on site is like quite separate, isn't it, for both of those?
Yeah.
Like, you have like separate routes to take them, and I know like the majority of your like customer acquisition is done through Meta, isn't it?
Yes.
How would you find, or would you ever like consider adding in like another sport to it?
That's a good question. We thought about cycling and trying to branch off into that, which I'm not a cyclist, and it's just like, a part of you's like, well, just follow the money. But in the same token, like, it wasn't something that I was hugely passionate about, and I wouldn't say I'd turn it down if it came in. It's just how much do you dilute that when you start adding too many niches into your brand? I wonder if I would. If it depends how similar it was.
Yeah.
I might separate it into a brand new brand if it was, too far apart.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was like a protective brand for mountain biking, I'd be like, oh, maybe we can put that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you build like products that are part of your life and your lifestyle, like, how does that influence your decision making as a founder?
How does it influence my decision making?
Are you doing things like, is it always about what you think for yourself and what you would like, or is it always about like, no, our customer is this, they would want X,
yeah, so it started off that way because my motorcycle seat is like concrete. I mean, I rode down to Le Mans, and we took a 6-hour ride down to Le Mans, and honestly, I was standing up and shaking my butt from side to side, trying to take the pressure off. So definitely am the target audience, but it has evolved. And so voice of customer has been super important. The Facebook comments are gold.
Yeah.
Because that's where most people talk about, and like in response to your particular ad, what they like, don't like, who they are, what problems they go through. And our target market is older than me. So like, I'm edging into that, but we have a lot more of an older target market, and that does come with certain tastes and certain styles, as well as maybe some more problems. I don't ache too much on the joints so much as maybe some people would. And so now it's got to be about solving for joint pain, maybe not just butt pain.
Yeah. And what are you doing with all the Facebook comments? Like, I imagine now, are you plugging that into any of your AI to help content generation? Like, what are you using them
Yeah,
for?
I think it's a hybrid approach. So AI is obviously at the forefront of our minds because it's insane, and what we can build with it is incredible. We've got like blog writers and researching skills and stuff like that through Claude. And so I think there's obviously a massive place for it, and Facebook's now acquired Manus, which is going to be super powerful for insights.
Oh, we've been using that.
Yeah. So I think like obviously pulling comments out, helping with ads analysis. I'm not sure about management yet. I don't know if it's any good at just screwing around with budgets.
I think I've spoke to another brand recently, and they was using something different, like but an automated account, but they was using it for one of their smaller territory markets. So it was like a test for them, like let's see
Good idea.
how well it's going. It's not a huge market for us, but it's good enough to give us a bit of insight, and it was performing
Really?
well.
I mean, Manus is a monster. I mean, Facebook Meta did well to acquire them their animals. That Manus is an all-in-one. It's a bit more expensive than. So we use GenSpark, which is also an absolute animal. I can't believe we're alive to even be around this stuff. But Manus is, although a bit more expensive, it really is a superpower. It will code you apps and not just infer data from spreadsheets and stuff. I mean, it can go real deep down the rabbit hole. But in terms of using them, I think it's a hybrid approach. I think that we still need a little bit of human in the loop.
Yeah.
So the research we get back from AI is incredible. But then sometimes, especially when you're trying to turn that into copy, sometimes it goes down a certain path. So I guess, and this is not data backed at all, by the way, like I guess that, it's trained on so many things, including not always the right way to market. So sometimes we'll find that it does a lot of finesse and it doesn't actually sell the product. And I'm a big believer in clarity over finesse. So I think a hybrid approach of both when it comes to research is like, okay, well, this is really good info. Let me verify that and just do a little bit of a check myself, and then use my expertise with the AI tool to turn that into something decent that I can use.
Do you think brand owners now that haven't invested into learning AI and capabilities should be really focusing on that as a priority now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I both knew there was a turning point at some point, end of last year, this year, where like the tools were amazing. They could help you write copy. I could generate the most insane imagery and videos working back and forth with it. But then this agentic stuff with Claude came in, and then it was just a point where we were like, wow, I mean, this is now. It was a nice idea to integrate it into your business, but now it's like, oh my god, this can be done.
Yeah,
this is now integratable, and it's mental.
I do think you have to adapt quickly,
very quickly.
Like I know, like obviously I'm speaking from like agency side, like the agencies that don't adapt very quickly will soon be phased out, and I know some that aren't even like considering it yet, and
which is mental.
Yeah,
which is mental. Like, I mean, you will get left behind very very quickly if you don't.
And I imagine it's like similar for brands as well. Like I know that the actual percentage of people that are searching through AI is so small at the moment for product, but I suppose it's about being ready for when it's going to start slowly upticking and taking over some of the other channels. for sure. I mean, there's two sides to AI, isn't it? There's the front end and the back end. So the front end, where it comes to marketing and being customer facing, I mean, it's going to happen. I still do Google, but I use that AI tool a lot because I want to dig deeper. I don't want to just settle for the first sponsored result that comes at the top of my page. I want to dig into the info and find out a bit. So I'll use Gemini on the side. And then obviously there's ChatGPT and Claude. I ask Claude a lot of things. And so it is becoming a part of people's lives, and you have to prepare for that, because that will, I think search is still going to be similar in the sense of someone's going to want something, it's going to be surface that's going to be most relevant to them, but where they are is where you've got to be. Otherwise you're just going to fall behind. For the back end, I think it's having systems. I don't know what's happening with AI. I don't know where it's going to go. I believe it's going to get to a state of abundance, but we may see a dip beforehand. And I think having your back-end systems automated in your business will do two things. One, it will allow you to run a bit leaner if things do get the way. And secondly, I think automating certain elements of your business will just make it more efficient. I mean, we all know there's a lot of admin to do in some of it, and God, that's just, you have to hire people for that. And I think you can really streamline your business. Like customer service, for example, I don't know about you, but I think that's one of the first things that's starting to fall as like having too many humans needed. Yeah. Because customer service, I mean, it's a language model, so it's actually quite good if you structure it properly at talking to people and talking to them in a manner that's actually very human-like. And how have you used it to like inform like your creatives and things that you're driving through ads?
That's an interesting one. So we'll always use research to inform our creatives, at least from a who's our target audience, what they're talking about, what beliefs or objections or misconceptions they have about the world that we can challenge, which I think are big things. Because I mean, sometimes there's a lot of marketing noise, people selling the same problem, and sometimes you've got to try and catch them at the next stage, which is actual fact. Well, I want to buy these shorts, but I'm afraid they won't work, or I'm afraid they're too cheap, or they look exactly the same as this pair. And then that's that kind of insight that you get through your own research and through AI pulling that is where you really hyper target people where their problems are and what they're thinking about. And I think AI's got really good at that now. So we have a research SOP that will literally dig into YouTube and watch videos and go through comments. Whereas beforehand it was like scraping Reddit, which is a gold mine, by the way. Reddit people gush about their problems. Love you, Reddit guys. But now it's got more sophisticated. It can browse, it can watch videos, it can do a lot more. It now goes, so, Amazon used to lock off their reviews and you'd need, Apify to use a web scraper. But now Claude will just go on and be like, cool, next page, next page, next page.
And do you do this through co-work?
We use Claude, but it's a mixture. But so I would use Claude browser for that, but the session resets every time. It doesn't have a memory like Claude desktop. So we have markdown files, which basically, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but when you build Claude in Claude Code, which is what I've been doing, you have these little .md files that will give it an overarching brain context of the product and stuff like that. So what I would do is I'd open Claude browser and just dump those files in and say, that's my product info, that's my ad compliance doc, off you go. Like, I want to look up motorcyclists doing long journeys, and then it will go and use those documents, and I'll be like, oh, here's our master researcher skill. And then it's like, oh, cool, that's who I am. And then in that, it's like, this is where you go. Go to Amazon, don't look at the first 5 reviews, go through at least, 5-6 pages, go to YouTube, keep loading the comments, and don't just look at the first 5. Because this is the thing, it's iterative, isn't it?
And you've got to be super clear as well. I think that people, when they're using AI, can sometimes be quite broad.
Yes, yeah.
And if you're not, but that's something that you keep on working on. So what's the main purpose of this SOP? Is that for research on content ideas, creative strategy?
It's mainly for target audience, because I think once you nail your target audience and their problems and their fears and doubts and what's in their way, that usually comes up with content ideas off the back of it to talk about. So I have a psychology playbook that just condenses all of my advertising knowledge into like a one pager, and that comes through like a load of little principles, and then I feed that to AI. And again, it's I could almost recite it word for word. It's like, what's the problem? Where are you now versus where you want to be? What's in your way? What beliefs and, like I said, beliefs, objections, and misconceptions do you have about the world? What alternatives have you tried that don't work that we can crap on? And just I keep going down that and then giving that to AI. And then all of those will come up with different angles, whether it's a problem-aware ad where I tap straight into the problem, whether it's, what alternatives have they tried, it becomes a solution-aware ad where I'm like, okay, well, some people, custom fix their motorcycle seats, which I think is super expensive, takes a lot of time to do, and they can just put a pair of pants on. Do you know what I mean? So like now I've uncovered this objection, I've been like, right, that's my ad.
And so this is something that you had no idea about beforehand?
Well, again, I'm lucky in the sense that I am a rider, so I do get that. But I wouldn't have changed my motorcycle seat. I would have literally white knuckled it and had the sorest part on my right. Well, that's what I was doing. And this is what I'm saying about my audience evolving. It's just like, because I would just put up with it and then I'd complain the other side. I'd be like, oh God, I'm a butt. Whereas, some people will actually go and proactively do something about it. And that's an alternative that I wouldn't have used myself. But then that's a powerful ad concept behind that. And so that's how we form creative strategy off the back of it, is take that insight and then you'll just pick at stuff. You'll be like, oh, actual fact, this is gold. I'll actually pick on that little thing and turn it into an ad creative.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
What else have you built then?
In terms of AI?
Yeah.
So on the AI side of things, like I said, I've got a master researcher skill. The first thing I built was a personal PA. I hate going through my emails. I mean, I don't know who gets some of my emails. Like some randos out of nowhere just message me, and I'm just like.
And does it always start with just curious?
yeah, you know, don't you? Like, it's just like, just curious, or like you'll leave with something like, you know, Ripple's leaving this revenue on the table or something. But the thing is, you will find gold in there somewhere, which is really annoying because there's a lot of chaff to go through until you find the wheat. But I hate emails. I think they're awful. They're super slow. I don't check them as often as maybe I should. And it's because I'm inundated with stuff. And so I got a PA. And the thing is I was just like, gave it an SOP and I was just like, this is what I want you to go and find, which is what's the most important urgent that I'm involved in? What is just a newsletter that's absolutely a waste of my time? And then I started connecting it into things like I had a Telegram bot, and then I connected things like my Slack as well. And it came back and it was boss. The only problem I had is my laptop always had to be on. So I need to go and find a Mac Mini or something. And to be honest, Claude now does a lot of personal PA stuff by just hooking stuff in. But that was my first project. And that thing was boss. It was just like, right, you've got this from this company. This is super important. You've got this invoice to pay. But then you've got 18 newsletters. I was like, okay, we'll just mark them as read and then respond to this.
Not the DTC Live one, though.
No, basically, no. The DTC Live goes in my priority inbox start. So then I get a draft response and it drafts all my responses and then I'm happy with that. I just fire it out. So that's pretty cool. And then I built a blog writer, which basically goes, you give it a seed keyword, you choose the blog, and then it will go off and come back with keyword clusters. And then you click generate and however many articles, and then it will go and find the best performing articles online, pull them back in and then go and rewrite them and then generate images in Google Gemini. I haven't got it to push it into WordPress yet.
Because your blog's hosted separately, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's a big driver for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest driver really is ads from rider pages, not necessarily from our brand pages, because I think it's a bit more of a under the radar way of being like, you know, we will advertise as a rider. So for example, Nicky J Shreds or something, or Nick Rides or something like that. But then advertorials do generate money as well. Like I wouldn't say they're the main. I think ads really do drive, but advertorials do really well.
So how well do these blog pieces perform then? Do they ever?
Are they
clear AI or are they no different?
No. So like, again, it's human in the loop. So the blog writer I've got is to try and grow our presence so that the blog is authoritative enough. And that's generally so that if someone goes and looks online, then they'll see authoritative pieces of, like thought leadership and stuff. And that's super important for brand recognition. But when it comes to writing advertorials, it'll be a hybrid mix. So AI will produce something and then Ricky is more responsible for looking over those blogs. It's very much a skill set of his. So he will go through that and he'll write what he needs to make that blog sound good as well. So I think when it comes to advertorials, it's definitely a hybrid approach and needs someone like Ricky, for example, to go through.
And you've built like a multi-million-dollar business, haven't you? You've got a strong EBITDA.
Yep.
What have you been most disciplined about protecting as a founder, as a business owner, as you've gone through growth and scale?
Disciplined about protecting. The only thing I can think of really is almost sabotage. I've been disciplined about protecting and controlling certain elements where I've actually had to learn to let go. And it's because I built up such a savage skill set as a solopreneur because I had no money when I started. So I became a graphic designer and a video editor. And once it got to a certain stage, actually, I realised I was blocking the business. Because
you were the bottleneck.
Yeah, and I had just a to-do list that was super long that I was clutching onto, thinking, someone else isn't going to do it right. And actually, that is having or had a negative effect until recently, where I was like, okay, I need to start hiring people. I don't protect apart from the brand name, I don't really protect too much with it. I like the brand ethos. And so I like protecting that, but I think it's evolution I'm more focused on. So, for example, we're very acquisition heavy, as you know. And so the EBITDA is okay, but, we did 2.5 ROAS on $6 million last year, of which 2.25 was new customer. And so we're so acquisition heavy. So this year is about LTV. So I think it's more about, there's nothing I'm particularly protecting. I need to evolve. Because a $6 million company is not $50 million company. They're different.
So how do you, well, what's like the strategy then to build the LTV? Like I imagine like the price point is higher than, you know, a standard purchase that's being made. It's something that they should be buying once.
Yeah.
Often.
So
like how do you, what's like the plan to build that out? Because it is harder than like a consumable.
It's different. So depending on the product. So we've got two products. One is a more expensive piece of clothing and one is a cheaper pair of comfort shorts. And alongside that, it comes alongside different target audiences and different pain points. Someone might want to ride because they don't want to ride in leathers and they want to ride their own style, but they're afraid of, you know, hurting themselves. Whereas someone that buys shorts is very much a pain management on long journeys thing. And so what we would do is we'd look, okay, well, those two target audiences and their problems and their contexts, what else can we add to that is going to help them further solve those problems? And so that's what we did. And so I've come up with a product line of 6 new products. So this is rapid testing. So I'll come up with a load of products, we'll put some pages live, rapidly test them, see what does well, and then include it in the mix. And we're doing that currently. We were putting these as LTV items and they're actually sailing in the ad account as standalone, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But we also spoke to Shopify and she was saying, okay, well, if you're looking at LTV, focus on RFM. And I was like, what? What's RFM? And she was like, oh, recency, frequency, monetary. And she was like, well, now, like, who spends the most with you the most often? You know, the highest amount and most recently. And I'm like, I don't know. And so she was talking to us about that. And I realised that our email flows are very, very basic, bitch. So like, it's like, well, they're not. They're obviously like you've got your usual flows that pick up the market, your welcome series, your abandoned cart. You've got some campaigns. But then when you start going into LTV, we've set up some flows that are more sophisticated, which now if someone buys this, after delivery, go and send them a small upsell. If they accept it, then offer them a bit bigger upsell. If they don't, downsell them this. And that's worked really well. It's early days, but it's working really well. So that could be massive for us.
Because that must be quite a lot of like orchestrating with the amount of like product and showing all these different options based on all the different people that are buying. But I suppose if it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, so there's two big target audiences for the motorcycle industry. And then there's obviously the products that we're testing. And our email guys did put those flows together. And so, I mean, putting it in play and testing, I mean, this is the bottleneck thing. I did all the landing pages for those upsell products and I was like, idiot, mate, an idiot. Because I was the one that was dragging that out. And I mean, I was lucky. It's funny in life where sometimes if you change the way you look at something, the thing you look at changes. And so like I saw hiring as really hard work and no one was going to do it the same. And I kind of flipped the scripts when my business partner managed to mobilize something way quicker than I did. And it was mainly leveraging other people. And something flipped within me. And I've got a landing page designer and a graphic designer within the space of the last 2 weeks that are knockout. I'm like, isn't it funny? Like sometimes how you look at the world differently, it changes. It's just so mental. And so that's going to unlock us from a landing page perspective. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a different landscape. I now have to evolve again, which is great for me because that's what I want to do. But it's looking now at LTV. I've realised our email flows are not sophisticated enough. And then I started getting into the detail of it and realising our copy, our designs, not talking to the audience in the way that we needed to talk to them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, like I'm just leaving these guys doing this thing on their own.
And is that because you was like focused on too many other areas that you had already set them up and thought, actually, they're fine, they're working, they're doing the job, but
you're totally
not
right.
Going in and iterating enough.
100%, you're totally right. And but this is where I think the mix is between knowing your shit and letting other people do it. Is that so we let them do it, trusting their expertise without question. And it's quite frankly because we have so much stuff going on. Like I didn't want to get into the weeds of email. But then obviously once that started becoming one of the most important things, then we were digging in and then realised where the gaps were. But the thing is, because I've been marketing for so long, I know where the gaps are. But this is the balance, but I'm not an email expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from a marketing perspective, I can do that, but I obviously need an email expert to come in and then counter that and say, by the way, well, this needs setting up properly. So it's a mixture of both. But yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly why that just got left by the wayside. Because, you know, you set them up and you just let them go and then you've got a million and one other things to focus on. So
what did she say? How should you be measuring that RFM then?
So it will be the usual metrics. So it's more the segmentation. So she was like, okay, go after your champions first. Which are the people that spend the most recently and spend a lot. And so our first campaigns went out to champions, which are basically, okay, well, if you bought this item, maybe you'll like this. They're more engaged, they spend a lot, they're more likely to buy more with you. And she said, then go out to the people that are previously loyal and reach out to them. So Shopify already segments these guys. And so what you need to do is then put them into a customer list, then you can push them into Klaviyo. But then she said, go out to the previously loyal people because, they bought at some point. Mm-hmm. And then you could probably reach out to them and say, well, why did you fall off the cliff, basically. And then so what's happened is that now what we can do is we can hyper target. So I can say, okay, well, give me any champion that's bought jeans, and then I can go and upsell them. Show me any champion that's bought our shorts. And then I can hyper target the message as opposed to scattergunning a load of people in the motorcycle industry. So I can now hyper target my message. And so it's more about the segmentation. The metrics will be the same: open rate, click-through rate, conversion rate, but usually more targeted and thus better.
Yeah. DTC Live On Air is powered by Rippl by Sage. And just to go back to like as you run in the business and as you're growing and looking at next steps, like how are you thinking about growth versus profit now? Is profit becoming more of a metric that you're focused on as opposed to hitting those revenue targets?
Can I have both?
You can all have both.
I would love both. Yeah, I mean, it's again, I keep saying great question. I sound like a broken record. Because we thought about this a lot. I was just like, do we want to drive revenue and beef up the look of the business?
Yeah.
Or do we actually want to increase profitability? And the answer is both. Like, I really want to drive both. And I do think but I think the route to it is LTV. I'm not saying I'm going to stop the acquisition activities because that would be the dumbest thing on the planet. But if I feed LTV, I can spend more to get the customer, which means I can spend more on Meta and Google and all the rest. So I think they both go hand in hand. I would like profitability to maybe be a little bit more important this year than revenue.
Yeah.
But if I didn't stick another 3 million on that revenue, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, because and do you think it is like a vanity thing?
Yeah, it is.
Because you're like, yeah, I'm a $10 million business.
It's a vanity thing, for sure. But the thing is, I also used to think it was a value thing. So we've looked at, just casually looking at what an exit would look like, and we went to someone else. I was like, okay, well, some people throw around, it's got to be X amount of times revenue. Some people throw around it's X times profit. Yeah. And looking at it as a UK company, we reached out to a broker, and he went more down the profit route. And I was like, okay, cool. So
I think the UK works different to the US, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think it's a bit easier because you can like some people only need to put 10% down. They get like grants and stuff to spend the rest, whereas UK it's quite hard. You don't get that, so people would have to either pay the full amount or do some sort of arrangement where they paid you in bits. But a lot of it is well, it seems profit driven, and so I can sit there and just boast a massive revenue, but at the end of the day, if it's X times profit, someone's only going to buy it for what the profit is really, and what it's going to be worth to them. So profit is more important from a selling perspective, for sure. And
how have you found like acquiring new customers like that are in these like niche markets? Like, have you ever felt that you've hit a ceiling with the audience, or is that just constantly growing and evolving?
Yeah. So Meta tells us that we haven't. So we've got an account manager at Meta that's just like, well, you haven't hit that ceiling yet at all. We do hit ceilings with the ad account that where we struggle to scale past a certain amount, as I'm sure every e-commerce business does have that. So I don't think we've necessarily. I don't know if we've capped really. It just seems to it caps us spend wise. But I mean, people buy. I mean, it blows my mind how that many people would even buy every day. Still,
yeah.
After that many years, so I don't think we've hit our audience limit yet. But I do think from a scaling perspective, like I said, you've got to do way more to get to the next level, because we're just hitting ceilings with the Meta ad account. We can't spend over a certain amount per month without dipping profit wise.
So how do you get past that then?
LTV. Probably one of them is because I can spend more to get the customer. I realised since running a supplement brand that I can actually lose money on the first sale, and the subscription revenue thereafter can pick up the slack. I've got a mate that did, he does like 30 grand days and makes 10 grand a day. And I was looking at his metrics, and it's just like I won't mention who it is, but his cost per acquisition is $65 and his AOV is $75. So he's clearly losing on that. I mean, that's $10 difference.
Yeah.
And when you've got cost of goods, but he makes 10 grand profit a day. And so like, I'm not saying that we're going to do it like a supplement company, but if you get your LTV down, that does mean that your break-even ROAS is going to go down. So now I could probably lose money getting someone in on the first tiny little product or my main hero product, and then in the back end I can upsell them.
Yeah.
And that's going to allow me to spend more to get the customer. I think that's our biggest leverage point, for sure. And giving other people the reins. Like the people see things differently, and so we've taken on an ads agency that has come back to me with some ad concepts that I just wouldn't have thought about, because they do some trend analysis, and I think maybe letting other people with different perspectives look at it and not just be my own tunnel vision, washing the same ad. Well, we'd come up with different ad creators, but it's a similar format. Do you know what I mean? It's a similar driver, and so like I think those two things are going to be big points for us, and more products in the roster.
Yeah. And how did you manage to get, like, because you and Ricky both built up that Meta ad account to, you know, you got some really great results and you did amazing. Like, what was like the most effective way that you managed to scale that, do you think?
Yeah, so I think, so first of all, obviously, we maxed out a product with our own skill set, and then we introduced new products into the roster, which allowed us to obviously then scale out horizontally.
Yeah.
Which was good for us. We trained and used an internal team that could output way more creatives than we could. And one of our creative strategists has got to a point now that he's good enough that he brings me scripts. I'm like, oh, okay, these are good. And so, like, I mean, to be honest, it's not that his stuff didn't work in the beginning, but now he's coming out with way more ideas. And so our creative output is way more. I'd like to say variation, but everybody's chucking this word variation around because of Facebook's new algorithm. But, you know, the introduction of the advertorials are very good for top of funnel and even bottom. Like, they make money bottom of funnel, which is mental. And then doing different, it's ad creative concepts, it's angles. I know, I've downplayed that. It's probably one of the most important things is angles. You remember I was saying about the target audience, those different things about them. You pull that out, and it's the same for the supplement brand. Is that I'll read comments and I'll be like, oh, that's an objection. So like, I don't like the blue colour of my gummies. And so then I pull that out and it becomes an ad creative. And so just different ad angles are super important, because otherwise you're not just washing the same thing over and over again.
And how important is like authenticity?
Yeah, I think it's important. It's a strange one because I like authenticity, and I think it's super important for brand growth long term. I don't know exactly if it means authenticity in terms of sticking with the brand voice, beliefs, and stuff like that. Then yeah, cool. In terms of authenticity in the moment, it depends. At the moment, with my supplement brand, I'm super authentic. I'm the face of it. Whereas with Rippl, we're doing stuff that I would say wasn't necessarily authentic to the brand, but it's working really well, and it's more about what the customer wants or likes as opposed to an authenticity thing. But I'm okay with that. I think as long as we don't cross barriers that would make me worry about how we came across as a brand, I think that would annoy me a little bit.
I think that's good that you are quite open with it though, because a lot of brands are very like strict with, no, this is who we are, this is what we've got to talk about, this is how we talk about it. And I think it's good that you're allowing it to be a bit more free.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to say how egotistical you to think that that's how you want to be, and not think about what the customer wants. But I do agree that when people stick to their guns in terms of their own authenticity, they do carve a niche out, because they will find people like them that like their stuff. So I think both strategies work really well, and so I wouldn't crap on either of them. I do get why someone would want a unified brand voice, and I do think you'll carve a great niche out that way. I think for us, it's just more about what works within guidelines, obviously compliance guidelines, that you don't just overclaim anything that's super dangerous or that you shouldn't. And like I said, some things just work that if I stuck to my brand guidelines, I'd be like, you don't even, like, we've got our two best performing ads I cannot stand. I cannot stand them. I looked at them and I was like, that is the most fakest AI crap I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, it's just not going to work. Crushes it. crushes it. I'm sitting there crying. It's all right. And I think if I'd stuck to my guns, I'd be like, I don't want to be an AI brand that looks fake. We wouldn't have reached that target audience, and they wouldn't have responded so well. So I don't know. It's a tough question to answer. I think brand authenticity in terms of how we come across, fine, but in terms of how we're putting ads out, it's more what works.
Yeah.
It's more what works.
And you mentioned that you've got another brand, now a serial entrepreneur.
Yep. I thought I'd put that into something else. Yeah. So I started a supplement brand with my brother. It was last November, and we've hit 170k, I think, since then, which is really good. 70k, which was this month.
Wow.
This last month. Yeah, it's very aggressive growth. Very aggressive growth. It's mental. So I love doing stuff that I believe in, and my brother and I both have ADHD. So I mean, I don't know if I'm coming across calm or not, but I'm the most fidgety guy on the planet. Like, literally cannot sit still, and I've got all the symptoms of ADHD. Over talking for sure. I do my best to listen. It's very active though. But again, I suffered with things like task overwhelm. I snap quickly if my routine changes. Switching tasks was quite difficult as well. And doing boring shit you don't like, I'm like, oh my God. And so I suffered all those kind of things. And for me, meds are, for me personally, I don't like them because usually, like, especially with the amphetamine types, they'll give you a high and then that energy is borrowed from somewhere and then you crash. And so I was like, okay, well, I want a natural way to look at this. That's not a claim to treat or cure ADHD, by the way, just saying. But I wanted to personally find a natural way. And so I looked at the supplement market, and most of them are crap. There are some really good players out there, but loads of them just put these tiny doses in just to say that it's on the label. And so, especially in the gummy scam that's been released, where, all these creatine gummies ended up just being glorified sugar sweets. But I found that I went to Holland and Barrett and I looked at all of the blends that are out there for Focus, and they all had like crap all in them, like nothing in them. And I was just like, and it annoyed me. So I was like, okay, well, I'd like to put together my own gummy and dose it properly. So we approached a pharmacist in the UK, supplement manufacturer with a lead pharmacist. And so we approached them and they came up with a blend. And then I was like, I want these dosed properly because I don't want to something that works. Like, I don't want to put my name behind
it.
Honestly, I like how people can put their name behind something that just has nothing in it is beyond me. So we stuck to our guns with it. It's very costly to get in the first place, but do you know what I mean? I think it's done us favours because it's a great USP. Mm-hmm. We're the only clinically dosed blend of like 11 powerful nootropics into a gummy, and they're all backed by the scientific studies done on them. So like all in the correct doses that were in the studies that were done to improve cognitive function, which is cool.
How does the audience like resonate? Obviously it's quite early days, isn't it? But I've heard a mixture of things about in like supplement space and performance related products. Like, do they care about the same things that you do as a responsible brand owner in making sure that the product that you're putting out there is top notch, or is it brand driven?
Again, coming back to carving out your own niche, I think there are people that do care about it.
Yeah.
I think if more people realised how little was in their supplements, they'd get annoyed, especially because of the cost. The thing is, it does help drive costs down. So people think so we sometimes come across as expensive, but in actual fact, when you look at the dose differences, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think if people realised what was in it, they would absolutely fall off their chair. And so that's what we talk about, is obviously this low dosage. And I think people do care about that, because I think especially with people with cognitive function issues and focus issues, it really hits their life. Do you know what I mean? Like I love this because I've felt it. Like, I know what it's like to not be able to pay attention to someone, for someone to say that you can't keep your shit together, that you can't hold down anything. And these are real problems that people go through, that threaten things like their jobs and their lives and their partners and stuff like that. I mean, it's a journey for me and my partner to be present and listen and not just, kick off at tiny things that, aren't me working on my business or something. Do you mean, like, it's meant, and so people feel this, and I think it's just resonating with them and then providing something that's going to work and educating them, and just say, like, in terms of dosages, I'm saying, well, like, let me try and give you something that's going to be way more likely to work. And then there's obviously the trust signals on top of that. But the fact that it's made in the UK, so it's clean, especially with a lot of the drop shipping culture coming in, where these supplements are coming from China and they're not regulated, then, I mean, it puts us in a very good position. It's just in terms of that kind of trust. And so a roundabout waffly way of saying that is that I think people do care about it, and there's a niche for it. I think people just want to believe it works and trust the person. And I'm very much the founder at the moment, and our founder ads are doing the best because it's just me talking about the fact that I'm ADHD.
Yeah, and that's like your life and
it's
what
my
you
life. It's exactly who I am, and it's what I do.
Yeah.
It's not actually, some of our ads are banging, and we're doing some really nice AI voiceover ads. The AI space to make, honestly, so there's a lady called Social Savannah. Shout out to Social Savannah. She's such an excellent creative girl in the TikTok space. And I looked through some of her ad examples, and then I took our gummies, and I've made a whole suite of. So the thing is with the editors, they're like, "Oh, I'm a great editor. I can do AI footage," and then a lot of the time it's rubbish. And so I made this, which is a cheat code for anybody. I made this B-roll repository myself. So Nano Banana, I just bulk made loads of images of my gummies, super high fidelity, like squeezing, and they're all juicy, and people using them and stuff like that as well. I turn them into exceptional videos, and then I just get people to do voiceovers and then just overlay that footage, and they're crushing. By the way, just a little tidbit. But the founder stuff is working really well because it is authentic and people resonate with it.
And how has it shown up in how you run a business with ADHD?
Oh God, superpower and, devastating. So like I almost am convinced that if it wasn't for my ADHD, I wouldn't have got into business. That insane boredom of the status quo, like sitting in four worlds, the whole Matrix style. I don't want to do the Matrix with the whole manosphere crap, but like, sitting in four walls, bored out of your mind, to me is death. Do you know what I mean? I think I'd rather be on the brink of. And so I was pushed into that probably with that tension of being extremely bored. And luckily enough, entrepreneurship is, as you know, it can be all of that, which is, we can discuss another time whether that's an addictive behavior or not. But it does give you a dopamine lift. And so, and things change, one thing you're winning big, and then you're losing loads of money, and then things come up. And so it's novelty, and that on top of your own autonomy, doing something for yourself, superpower for sure. It's when you have to start doing the more mundane things. You've got to sit down and go through your spreadsheets and invoices or your emails. Yeah. So I'm really great at learning something. I always love video editing. I get into flow. It's something I love doing, but there are certain things that I will learn the first time, I'll crack it and it'll be amazing, but then I have to repeat that behavior over and over again because it works, and then I don't because it's boring. Bored. And so like I will figure out this way of doing something, and then all I need to do to make more money is do the same, and then I really struggle to do, once I've learned it, I struggle to then repeat it. But the lucky thing is obviously you can hire people that do have that mentality that can be taught, that can then go and do that on a regular basis, which I've discovered recently. And so that becomes a bottleneck then when you have to then do the mundane things. Well, you don't have to, you can hire, but do the mundane things.
When you get used to the thought of hiring.
Yeah, I mean, it's like customer service. I like customer service in the first place. Again, it's a novelty, but it's now getting to a point now I'm like, it's the same questions being asked, like most of the time. Yeah. I chat to people on social and I back and forth with them. I have such a great conversation because, again, they're like me. But with customer service, it's the where's my order?
Yeah, why is it delayed?
Why is it delayed and stuff like that? And it gets to the point where I'm like, oh my god. So like I think that's where it's been really held back. But I mean, it's just strategy. Working for yourself is a real luxury because I can get up in the morning when I've got bags of energy, steam ahead until 12. Eat my food, have a nap for an hour, and then I wake up and I'm recharged. So like I'm lucky in that sense. I can recharge. People that have to work day jobs that can't do that, I feel very sorry for if they have ADHD. But that helps me for sure. But still, in the afternoon, I mean, you want me to do anything mundane? I do it in the morning.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
What advice would you have for others that are kind of going, or that deal with that now? Like, how did you create new workflows or create new ways of tackling jobs that you didn't really like that helped you, become more successful?
So, I mean, firstly, when it comes to getting your shit together, find your calendar and your to-do list sexy, for sure. So, like, because some of it is not the fact that you didn't want to do it, it's the fact that it completely leaves your brain. And so, and when I started managing my calendar properly, I was like, oh my God, that's what people do. And it took me to the age of like 35 to do so. Like, it's mental. But then things get booked in, and if they get booked in, they get done. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this superpower?
Who created this system?
I know. And my to-do list is the same. Although it's usually a brain dump that then I have to just drag in the order that I need doing it. Like, I try and categorize it, but just baby steps. As long as I know the next 3 things I need to do, that's massive. And then what happens is when it becomes mundane, you don't think. You go to the top of the list, it's that thing, and you don't even think. And then you're lowering those barriers to entry straight away. So I'm like, that's it. I'm doing that, and that's it. Timers help. Gamifying stuff helps as well. How quickly can I get through this? Although it could be dangerous. You might not do it well. But I set timers. I set white noise. I've got this beautiful video of a Sen satellite orbiting the Earth at the moment. And then I put that up with music, and I'm like, oh.
I could do anything.
Yeah, I can do it. Oh, this is boring. So like, it's blocking outside distraction, lowering the barriers to entry, and giving yourself no other way out. And like the do not disturb on my phone, because obviously social media comments, it's not like fun, but they're a massive dopamine hit, much bigger than going through this invoice from my bookkeeper. And so I just cut that out. Your environment really shapes how you work. And so that just gets completely cut out.
And just kind of like looking ahead now as a brand, specifically for like Rippl, like what does that next phase of growth look like for you guys? Obviously we mentioned like profitability, but is there a number that this is what we're going to do this year?
Yeah, I'd like to move towards 20% EBITDA. That'd be nice. And I'd like to put $3 million on the revenue top line. I mean, those are, again, not vanity, but like they're the top line metrics. I think that's where I would like the business to go. And I think it's possible with our new finance manager, who's wicked. I absolutely love it. ADHD as well, so totally scatty and misses meetings and stuff. But I mean, he's so competent. And I'm just like, fair play. He's so competent. And the LTV strategy we've got in place as well, I am confident we're going to hit that. It'd be nice to look at customer experience a bit more. I do feel like we could improve that a lot in terms of how the customer feels post-purchase. I think that'd be nice. It's something that falls by the wayside a lot, and some people crack it super early, even though it's not it's a long-term strategy. That would be nice if we could do that.
And if you were starting again today, what would you do differently?
Cash or no cash?
You've got cash. You've got as much cash. Well, let's do both options.
Yeah, I mean, if I had obviously some money, I would mobilise a lot more people quickly. And things like, you just know more things. So I've got a trade credit facility with my company Rippl that allows me to buy stock up front and not pay it off for months on end. And so like, I mobilised a supplement brand, and I reached out to the guy. I was like, fancy giving me a facility? And he was like, you need to make 50k for at least 2 months. And I was like, okay. And then he emailed me the other day and went, how about that trade facility? I was like, yeah. And so these things are already open. So like starting again, I don't think you ever start again if you're already in that momentum. No cash would be 2 massive things. I would go and get as many skills as possible. I think that especially when you've got no cash, you control how good you are at stuff. So again, AI is going to be a big thing, but knowing how to put the thing together, like video ads and Shopify and stuff, that has never done me badly to learn as a single person with hardly any cash, for sure. And then you go out and find people doing the same thing. Community and networking is unbelievably important. I wouldn't have got anywhere near where I am without other people doing the same things, either showing me what's possible or showing me what to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's so important. People just like to sometimes white knuckle it by themselves. And I would have not got anywhere near without my business partner, George, without Ricky. My brother's building stuff in the back end for the supplement brand. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? The people that we meet at the DTC events as well. that are doing either similar numbers or better. They've gone through those problems before. They connect you. They help you solve problems. I talk to Maria all the time, and Charlie. Like, we share ideas. We're in similar situations with those brands, and it's the quickest way to learn. It's a cheat code. You can spend years doing it yourself, or you can go and find friends doing similar things that are interesting, and then fire. So I'd say, like, no cash. Be as valuable as possible through skill set, and go and find other people doing it. With cash, definitely mobilize a lot more.
Definitely. It's so true, that community piece. Like, you sit on like ideas and you think like, oh, is that the right decision? And all it takes is like a message to someone you've met before that's also a competitor, or they're in the same space, and people more often than not are so willing to share their successes, what's worked, what hasn't worked.
For sure.
I'm like in constant communication with my biggest competitor.
Yeah,
like sharing ideas, like on, oh, how have you found this? You know, he texted me before saying, how's your Q1 closing out? Like, hopefully you've got some new deals on the line. And it's just that, like, you build those friendships over time, and they're so powerful to have.
I love that. And I think it's like a real abundance mindset as well. Like, the pool's big enough.
So there's enough for everything. There's enough for everyone out there.
That's sick. I love that.
And just to kind of close, like, what's one belief that you held when you started the business that you now no longer agree with?
Well, it did apply at the time. And I think still hard work still plays a massive role, but seeing how hard I've had to work to produce less results than someone else that hasn't had to, it's more important that you do the right things and you use leverage where you can than to do everything yourself. So it was about hard work. I would work from 5 a.m. till 1 the next day. For the first couple of years, barely spoke to my partner. Like, and I suppose that's a rite of passage. And again, when you've got no cash in the beginning. But it's not just about working your absolute tits off. It's about leverage. I've started, and it's late in the day for me, but I'm hiring people that are doing stuff for me whilst I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
And they're going to get more done than I would have done the whole day today. And so I no longer believe that it's just about the hero's hard work. Yeah,
that's so true. I think like it becomes a bit of a badge of honor as well when you're starting out. Oh my God, I worked like 15 hours today.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you patting yourself on the back for stretching yourself to the max, whereas the real skill is learning to offset some of that work that you know how to do, but it's not where your time is best spent anymore.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it's all over it's the social community, isn't it? It's like a badge of honor, like you said, but then other people talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So they're looking at you like, and I was the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, oh, you're sitting there doing fuck all. And whereas I'm just like, oh, yeah, well done. I mean, if it's working and they're super prosperous or whatever success is to them, then, you know, we should be celebrating that. But then again, you know, when other people work 12-hour days and they come back and they see someone that's not working, I mean, it'd be quite easy to be like, fucking arsehole. But yeah, it's just, it's I think it's effectiveness. What can you get done as opposed to just, and I still wear my work as a badge of honor. I still do it knowing this principle. I'll come home and I'm like, such a long day.
Yeah.
Did so much. Look how good I am. Do you mean, like, it's so weird. And I think recently, and I'm off on a tangent here, but I've had a hypothyroidism for the last half a year, and I've had to bring that back down to levels. But the stress has obviously had an extra effect on that, having hypothyroidism, because everything's, you know, my heart rate's generally higher, my stress levels are higher. And especially being nearly 40, like, I do feel like the stress now hurts more, and I'm now prioritizing stress. That's not being lazy, different. I'm now prioritizing stress, which is, again, it's a leverage thing. It's like, well, what can I mobilize and get done and unlock for people, as opposed to shouldering it all myself with this badge of honor that's going to put me in an early grave.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that's super important.
So true. Well, thank you so much. You was amazing.
Yeah, it was lovely. I've really enjoyed being here, so I appreciate it.
Good. DTC Live On Air is powered by Rippl by Sage.